Pharaoh is the most stubborn person in the history of people. Verses 1 through 4. I'm sorry, this is Exodus 9. So let's just jump right in. Verses 1 through 4. God sent Moses to Pharaoh, and he wanted him to say, "Let the Israelites go. If you don't let them go, there will be a plague on only the Egyptian livestock. No animal belonging to the Israelites will die." And again, I think it became evident through reading this that God wanted to show not only Pharaoh, but the Egyptians and the Israelites who was in control. And God wasn't touching his people. The Israelites were fine amongst all this. So he was making it really evident. Verses 5 through 7. It said that Pharaoh investigated and he discovered that none of the Israelites' animals had died. So Pharaoh was probably like, yeah, right. I don't believe that. But then he did his own investigation and reports came back that all of the Israelite animals were still alive. Yet his heart was still hardened. And remember that God was hardening his heart. In verses 8 through 12, God instructed Moses and Aaron to take soot from a furnace and have Moses toss it in the air in front of Pharaoh. He said that doing this will cause boils on people and animals. And I took a step back and I was just thinking, okay, you're hardening Pharaoh's heart. You're making Aaron and Moses' life a little bit more difficult, God, and you want them to do this big thing, but you're making it more difficult. And then I just thought that this just didn't make sense. Take soot from a furnace and throw it in the air. God is God. Moses probably could have snapped his fingers. Not probably. If God wanted to, Moses could have snapped his fingers and then this would have been done. With just a thought, God could have done this. And I was just thinking, why did God want Moses and Aaron to do that? And then I feel like the Lord just impressed on my heart that maybe not only was he trying to show the Israelites and the Egyptians that he is God and he is in control, but also I think, eventually the Israelites were freed and Moses and Aaron led them through the wilderness. But Moses and Aaron probably needed this time of going back and forth to God and then to Pharaoh and then from God to Pharaoh and then God to Pharaoh to strengthen their faith. And so God was probably giving them all of these things that in my mind sound a little, and I don't want to sound disrespectful to God, but it sounds kind of silly. And I just wondered, why, Lord? And, sometimes it takes those little steps of faith before we can go on to those big things that God asks us to do. And so if God is asking Moses and Aaron to take some soot from the furnace and toss it in the air, if Moses and Aaron said, "No, God, that sounds silly. That is beneath me. I don't want to do that," then I don't know if they would have been able to lead the Israelites through the wilderness. It takes a lot of faith to do what they did. And God is strengthening their faith. Every time they say, God says, do this, and as little and insignificant as that sounds, Moses and Aaron did it. When they would see it come to pass, I'm sure their faith was strengthened and they learned to rely more and more on God. And I've been there in life where God has asked me to do the little things and it would seem really silly. Forgive this person, even though they hurt you, go forgive them and say sorry. You didn't do anything wrong, right? But go forgive them and say sorry, and I can't argue with God or, give this person a compliment or tell this person, this, and it would make no sense. However, then when you do it and you realize, okay, God, I see what you're doing here and your faith is strengthened just a little bit more, then God will move you onto those bigger things. I really feel like that. And so I think that not only that was God showing his power to the Israelites and to the Egyptians, but I think he was also just giving Moses and Aaron little tidbits of faith exercises, telling them things. And then once they did it, their faith was strengthened just that much more. And so if God is impressing something on your heart, no matter how small it is, even if it's, pay for the person's coffee behind you in the drive-through line, just do it. And little by little, you'll see God will, ask you to do something a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. And so verses 13 through 21, it said that God will bring a hailstorm that will kill those who are outside. And it said that those who feared the Lord listened. And I feel like, again, with all of these things going on, some of the Egyptians who did not probably believe in God beforehand probably believed, they started fearing the Lord, the God of the Israelites. And so verses 22 through 26, the hail destroyed everything. Goshen was spared because that is where the Israelites were. And so again, God is protecting his people. He's showing that, you know, these are my people. I am God. It is their God who is doing all of this. Verses 28 through 27. Pharaoh said, "This time I have sinned." And I just thought that was strange because he's done this so many times. Why is it this time? I don't know. Pharaoh, I don't know. He said he would let the people go. Verses 29 through 30. But Moses knew that they didn't fear God. I think Moses knew that he would change his mind. After Moses prayed to God, he knew Pharaoh would change his mind. And I wrote that here. He expected Pharaoh to change his mind, and he did. Pharaoh changed his mind, and he didn't let the Israelites go. Verses 31 through 32. The flax and the barley were destroyed, but the wheat and the spelt were fine. And I think this was included just to show some of their food was destroyed, but God, you know, not everything was destroyed. And that's because the wheat and the spear bloomed later on, so it was okay. Maybe because of that, Pharaoh was like, okay, well, you know, not everything was gone, so I'm not going to let the Israelites go. But also, you have to keep in mind that God did harden his heart. Verses 33 through 35. It says that Moses left the city, spread his hands toward the Lord. The hail and thunder stopped, just as he said it would. And Pharaoh and his officials hardened their hearts again and did not free the Israelites. And so, again, Pharaoh is super stubborn and he's still going through that back and forth. But, you know, like I mentioned in the last video, and I really do feel in my heart that partially, not only is God trying to show his power and his strength to everyone, not just the Israelites, but just to the Egyptians as well. But he's also just showing Aaron and Moses that they can trust him, and that he is testing their faith and he's strengthening their faith. Because if they are faithful and obedient in these little things, then they will continue to be faithful and obedient when they're leading an entire, you know, the Israelites through the wilderness. And so I think that's the lesson to learn here with Exodus 9. What did you learn with Exodus 9? Please share with me in the comments. I love reading your insight and your comments as well. Also, if you haven't already, please subscribe. I post a new Bible study video every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I can't wait to study the Bible with you again. Bye.